Yo, what is going on, y'all? It is your boy AT from AT's Barstool. Today, we are back here on episode 26 of AT's Barstool in week 5 of the Delaware High School football recap. Sorry for not doing week 4. I wasn't feeling all that great to be doing it, but I'm back. If you guys are new to this channel, though, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow AT's Barstool. Link will be in the bio. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. The first game that we are going to be talking about here is Appoquinimink High School versus Cape Henlopen. This game was at Appoquinimink High School on Friday. Appo took down Cape Henlopen in a 48-14 blowout, like I expected. In this game, Desai Drummond threw 5 touchdown passes and ran for one of them. Also, 2 of them touchdown passes that he threw was to none other than Josiah Rogers, and then 2 of them was to Dominic Monty Bell on Appoquinimink, and the other one was to his brother Francis Drummond for a 35-yard pass. He ran the ball in for an 8-yard run in the game too, like I said before. And this was just a really good game for Appo. As for Cape Henlopen, they did not play well as they was getting sacked a lot. And they was also throwing picks. And it was just not a good game for Jameson Tungle in that Cape Henlopen team, as he did throw a touchdown pass, but that was in the second quarter where they was already down 28-7. And after that second quarter, they did not score at all. As you've seen, it was 14-48. And Appoquinimink High School will get another win on their board, as they will now be 4-1, and they're on a 2-game winning streak. In their next 3 games, it's going to be pretty tough. I mean, the 2 is going to be really tough, as they're going to play against Caravel Academy. They go down to Caravel Academy Friday, 7 p.m., where they got to play Isaac Chikora in that Caravel Academy team, and that's where just Josiah Rogers will be playing his his Penn State teammate, or his Penn State teammate next year, Isaac Chikora, as they're going to take on each other at 7 p.m. And then after that game, they play against Louisiana at 7 p.m. It's going to be at Appoquinimink. And then after that game against Louisiana, they're going to be playing against Hodson, a really easy opponent for them that they should easily beat by like 30 plus. And all in all, this rest of the Appoquinimink schedule is going to be pretty tough. I mean, 3 out of the 5 teams they play against are going to be state championship contenders for sure, which I'm talking about Caravel and Sally's. And then the last game will be Middletown High School at Cavalier Stadium. That will be the rivalry game. And yeah, honestly, Appoquinimink, they have a pretty tough schedule. Outside from playing Hodson and William Penn, which they're supposed to be 2 easy opponents. And then for Cape Henlopen, what are they going to be looking like? As they're now down to 3-2 on the year, as their first loss they took was against Lake Forest. That was the surprising loss a couple weeks ago that I was not expecting from Cape. But their next couple games, it's going to seem pretty easy. Well, outside from Smyrna, the next few after that, it's going to be pretty easy, as they're playing Sussex Central after Smyrna. Then they'll be playing Dover High School down at Dover. Cape Henlopen, they have a great chance of making the playoffs. They can win about a good 6 games, probably go 6-4 to be exact, if I'm not mistaken. That's my opinion, my final opinion. Only teams I see them losing to is Smyrna, and then either St. George's or Sussex Central. That is my opinion. But all in all, Cape Henlopen, they're not a bad team. We've seen them compete with Appo. We've seen them compete with Lake Forest. And we see them take down a pretty good St. Mark's team. So, yeah, this Cape Henlopen team, I mean, they can still be a top 5, maybe top 6, top 7 school in the 3A conference. But we'll have to see. And other than that, that's really it. And then the next game we're going to be talking about is DMA versus St. Mark's. I was surprised about this game for many reasons. And the first reason is the fact that DMA won this game. I had St. Mark's winning like 30-13, a blowout. I thought St. Mark's was going to blow DMA out. You know what I'm saying? That was not the case, though. DMA came with bad intentions and ended up beating St. Mark's, protecting their home turf, beating them 15-10. It was a close game. But they held St. Mark's scoreless in the second half. And that was the key reason. The defense stepped up big time. St. Mark's Just man, I don't know. But it was a really good game for the man, DeVar Rice Jackson from DMA, the DMA senior receiver. He played really well as he had a touchdown reception from 4 yards out, and he also blocked the punt out of the end zone for a safety. It was a really good game. And then Mazu, he had a rushing touchdown, my bad. And then for St. Mark's, they only scored 10 points, which is really pretty underwhelming. The offense has been really underwhelming after that Archmere game, honestly. As Sanders, he did have a 60-yard pick six, and then they had a 21-yard field goal by Mateo. And other than that, the offense did not score at all, if anything. Offense didn't look good. Last week, they lost to Indian River. This was going to be one of the games I was thinking about talking about, too, if I did a video last week. And that was Indian River, St. Mark's. They lost 3-21. St. Mark's is now down to 2-4 on the year, losing to Cape in a blowout, St. George's by 15, and then losing to Indian River in a blowout, and then just losing to DMA by 5 just this week. And their only two wins was a surprising win over Archmere and another 3A, a surprising blowout win over William Penn. But St. Mark's next three games, they're going to be playing Polytech High School. That's going to be a pretty tough game. It's going to be back at St. Mark's, though, so they should be winning. This is their homecoming game. Then they will be playing at Milford, all the way down to Milford at 7 p.m. That should be an easy win. Then they play Odessa High School, so there should be like 3 wins in a row right there. Get them back to about 5-4, over 500. They just gotta play their game though. They still got 4 games left. Do I think the St. Mark's team is going to the playoffs? Probably. My final prediction is they go 6-4 and win the rest of their games outside of Red Line, which will be the last game of the year, and hopefully they win that one. If they win the Red Line one, then they probably solidify themselves the top 5 spot potentially. Maybe. Not a top 5 spot, but a playoff spot at least. Because they'll be 6-4. But yeah, honestly, St. Mark's offense, they've been dead the last 2 weeks, haven't scored a touchdown. They need to get it together. That's all I have to say. Only 13 points in the last 2 weeks, and you played Indian River, who just moved up from 1A to 2A, who has 3-star Darnell Stokes. And then you have a DMA team who is a solid 2A school. Maybe go 5-5 on a year. Maybe better. I don't know. As DMA did have a questionable loss against Brandywine and then lost to Archmere, the team that St. Mark's took down. They DMA themselves got blown out 6-21, and then they did compete with Hodson though 6-8. But yeah, but DMA is 3-3 on the year. Their next 3 games is the same as St. Mark's, just in different order. They're going to be playing Polytech down at Polytech. Then they play Red Lion. That game might be a loss, and then Milford and Odessa. Those 2 games should be wins. I would be surprised if they lose Milford or Odessa. I would not be surprised if they lose to Polytech. Polytech's not a bad team. Helam Edwards, he's not a bad quarterback, and he will lead this team to a good 5-5 record. I would not be surprised if they beat DMA. Because Polytech DMA, at this point in time, I think it's just like it's 50-50. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, though, DMA, this is a great bounce back win after going on a 3-game losing streak. Losing to Hodson, Archmere, and Brandywine. Losing to Hodson and Brandywine in heartbreakers in close games, and then losing to Archmere in an embarrassing blowout game. But other than that, though, I could see DMA being about 5-5, maybe 6-4. You know what I'm saying? Just can't lose one of them 4 games or 2 of the 4 games because they still want to keep their playoff hopes alive. But I think they're gonna prevail though pretty well. I think they are gonna prevail and really make the state playoffs this year. And then the next game we're gonna be talking about here is the Howard Wildcats versus the Brandywine Bulldogs. This was an embarrassing loss for Brandywine. This is their second loss of the year. It's not the worst thing in the world. Brandywine still might be one of the better 1A schools this year. But I'm surprised they didn't score. I'm surprised they didn't score at least one time. I knew it was going to be a blowout from the jump. They're playing against Howard. They're 5-0. Well, 4-0 before that game. They took down Appo 46-39. Howard as a team averages about 40 plus points per game. I was expecting like a 40-6 result, but 52 nothing. 52 nothing. Holy moly. Anyone. You didn't even score. Not once. Y'all lost 52-0. I'm not even like, I ain't even going to say too much because the school I play for, aka Dickinson, lost worse to a worser school. But I at least expected y'all to score once. Y'all are supposed to be one of the best teams in 1A, and y'all put up a donut. And I understand you're playing the best team in 2A, which, yes, I call them the best team in 2A. But man, the way Howard beat y'all, though, they had everybody score in that game. Suhel Benson, Amir Modery, Jameson Bryant just throwing touchdown passes. I think he threw 3 of them in that game, maybe more. I don't know. Just absolutely annihilated Brandywine. It was a crazy game. And Brandywine supposedly has one of the best defensive ends in all of 1A in Nicholas Webb. Where was he at? No offense, but like, it's kind of crazy. I'm not going to say much about this game besides the fact that Howard is now 5-0, and this is the 4th game in a row they scored 40 plus. In the first game, they scored 50. I thought they would put a 50 piece on McCain at least. I thought that would be a 50-0 game when Howard played McCain, but Brandywine? You did Brandywine worse than McCain? Wow. I mean, to be fair though, I mean all of their games are home, or most of the games they played this year was home, except for Appo. But it was a really good game. Howard, probably one of the most dominant teams we've seen in 2A so far. Are they going to be more dominant than that Caravel team? I don't know. They would have to win 2, maybe 3 state championships and get moved up to 3A like Caravel. But man, oh man, what a day and what a year Howard is having. Ain't much to say about this Howard team. There ain't much bad to say. Giving up 39 against Appo, that's a 3A school with a 4-star Penn State commit, and then you have some other guys across the board who's also going to be going to college too, with a couple of nationally ranked players. And they took down Appo. I thought that was going to be their only loss of the year, but surprisingly not. But we're not here to talk about Appo and Howard. We already talked about that last video. If y'all see, before y'all look at this video, go look at episode 25 where I talked about that game. And it was one of the craziest games of the year. Other than that, though, Howard's on a roll, 5-game win streak. Next 5 games, they should easily beat. I mean by that, easily. Tatnall at Abyssinia, 7 p.m. Friday, October 9th. Not Friday, Thursday, my bad. That should be a win for Howard. After that, Tower Hill. That ain't going to scare nobody. That's a win. That should be a win, 7 p.m. at Tower Hill. Wilmington Friends, 7 p.m. at Abyssinia. It's Wilmington Friends. Come on now. Their quarterback is like 5'4". I'm sorry. But like, seriously though, come on. You should take down a Matthew McKenzie-led Wilmington Friends team with Cooper Stress as their best player, who's their running back. No offense to Friends, but like, this is not the same Friends team that was led by Robbie Tattersall or Ryan Tattersall. This is a different Friends team. But other than that, they should kill Friends. Then they play Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant. Come on now. These are all conference games, mind you. They should go 5-0 in conference, no matter what. Only team that I can see potentially giving them this problem is the last game of the year against Archmere Academy. They've been good. They have some big wins and some pretty crazy losses. Yeah. St. Mark's, yeah, that was a pretty crazy loss. As we see. And I recorded that game too. The game I went to. Yeah. Yeah, they had losses against St. Mark's and Lake Forest. They're 3-2. That is the best team that they are going to play this whole entire run. Howard should pretty much win states. They were my pick from the jump when it comes down to 2A teams. They should just win, man. That's all I'm saying. They gotta win. There's no way. There's no way unless they play some like the one team that probably will give Howard a problem in 2A. Maybe Red Lion. I know it might sound crazy, but Red Lion probably the only team I can probably see outside from Archmere giving them a potential problem in the state playoffs. But all I'm saying is Howard, they should go 10-0. Ain't much to say. The defense is incredible. They have held each and every single team they played against to 0 points. They've held three teams to 0. McCain, 44-0, but that's McCain. Brandywine, though, 52-0. One of the best teams in 1A. And then a 3A Hodson team, who is they're not as good as last year or the previous years. This is a mediocre Hodson team, but still, this is a 3A school. And you held them to 0 points. Crazy. The only team you given up 20 plus, if not 30 plus to, was Apple. And that's reasonable. I'm not surprised they gave up 39 to Apple because Apple's really good. They have one of the best, they have some of the best recruits in this, not in the country, in the state. Maybe in the country, but in the state, yeah. And they literally have one of the best linemen. It's actually insane how they did win that game. Woodbridge only held him to 6. Telling you though, Howard should dominate. This is their year. Caravel's no longer in the division, no longer in the conversation or in the running. You played them last year in states, you got blown out. Now this is your time to actually win since they're now up to 3A. That's all I gotta say about Howard. If they don't win 2A though, if they don't win the 2A state championship, there's gonna be some real big concerns. Some real big ones. Because St. Mark's look like they're almost out the running. I'm not going to say they're completely out. They're a good team and probably can compete with Howard. But let's be honest though. They might be close to being out of the running. I'm not down on them yet, but it could potentially happen because if St. Mark's don't get their stuff together, it's gonna happen. But that's all I gotta say for Howard and Brandywine. Now the next game we're gonna talk about here is Tower Hill versus Tatnall. Tower Hill and Tatnall, first conference game. We're gonna stay inside the what's it called? The 2A District 2 conference inside Wilmington area. Tower Hill ran the table with Tatnall. Killed them. 40-0. Yeah, 40-0. It's kind of crazy. All in all, it was crazy from the jump. An 85-yard pass from Michael Wasco to Carter, kind of insane. Mason Carter had a really good game for Tower Hill. He had 3 catches, 135 yards, and a touchdown. And Christian Martin, he had 12 carries for 57 yards for the Hillers. As Michael Wasco, he had 12 carries for 71 yards, 2 touchdowns. And it was just a good game for Wasco overall. He actually went 10 for 15 and threw for 279 yards and 2 touchdown passes. And they also forced a total of 3 turnovers as they had 2 fumble recoveries. 2 fumble recoveries and 2 forced fumbles. The 2 guys with the forced fumbles on Tower Hill was Liam Ayers and Shane Irvin, who actually had a forced fumble and fumble recovery, and Xavier Twyman, who had a fumble recovery off of Liam Ayers' forced fumble. Other than that, it was just a crazy game. Not too crazy because I mean it's Tatnall, and Tatnall they are coming off. Ooh, my bad. Tatnall they are coming off a season where they was undefeated and lost in the state championship to Indian River, who was led by 3-star Donnell Strokes. And this Tower Hill team is doing really well and possibly be in the playoffs too. They're 4-1 on the year. Only loss was the St. E's, who upsetted them pretty bigly. Or Yeah, big time upset. I mean, every win they had was against a 1A school, or every team they played against was a 1A school, except for Tatnall. Don't get it twisted. We can say the competition wasn't as great, but other than that, though, they have a pretty weak schedule. I mean, outside from Howard and the Archmere and Friends, which those are the three games that is going to give them a hard time, from my perspective, they should win two more games, which is Mount Pleasant and D County Christian, which I don't know if they won yet. Actually, no, my bad. They haven't played that game yet. I forgot that's a Saturday game next week. But they could make the playoffs. They might. Their 5-5 streak may be over. They might go 6-4. They just gotta take down Mount. Gotta take down D County Christian next week down in PA. Go all the way down to Glen Mills High School to play D County Christian. I don't know why it's all the way in Glen Mills, but hey, it is what it is. If you want me to go out there, I'll go out there, do interviews. But other than that, they should be 6-4 by the end of this year. Nothing really much to say. This team by Michael Wasco been a really good quarterback. Lost a lot of good players too. I thought Tower Hill wasn't going to be as great, mainly due to the fact that Wasco wasn't going to really have any type of weapons, as he lost his best receiver, Jamar Taylor, who now has multiple D1 offers and goes to Sally's and is a 3-star now and all that good stuff. Lost Brian Audery, his best offensive lineman slash D lineman, who's now playing at Temple. And the only real help he had was Christian Martin and Alex Hudson. Those two, yeah, that's really it. But you see the record, 4-1. They may have not played the best of competitions, as they play teams like Dickinson, where they put up 52 and Dickinson put up 16. And the fact that they Dickinson scored the second most points against Tower Hill up to this point is actually kind of crazy. And the fact that Dickinson is sitting at 0-6, but we're not going to talk about that game, that St. E's game. We're not going to talk about it. But other than that, though, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Tower Hill is 4-1, potentially have a winning record and be in the playoffs. They might get first rounded, but hey, 6-4 in the playoff spot, that don't sound bad to me. That doesn't sound bad to Tower Hill themselves. You know what I'm saying? And if they surprisingly beat Friends, make it 7-3, automatic playoff spot. But we'll see how they close out the rest of their year. And for Tatnall, boy, Tatnall. I don't know what to say. This is a whole new team. They do need to build up chemistry, as you guys all know. They lost all their seniors from last year. Pretty big hit from that 10-0 school, or 10-0 team from last year. Now the guys led by Billy Combs, William Ling, and Ekane Jamoye. Yeah, this team doesn't look that great. A bunch of young guys, a lot of young sophomores, a couple transfers that are freshmen and juniors and all that stuff. Yeah, now they're 0-5, and they got to play the toughest game of the year, Howard. Yeah, after losing 5 games they could have won, well, actually 4 games they could have won, including Newark Charter, really should have been the first win, but they somehow lost. They went over the Tatnall and took them down. It was crazy. And then getting blown out by Newark High School, who just got moved down to 1A, and Odessa. It's crazy. Every loss been a blowout except for that Charter game. But the next 3 games for Tatnall is Howard at Abyssinia. That might be a loss. St. Andrews, that should be their first win. They should at least win a game. If they end the season off winless, I will be so surprised. St. Andrews, they're not that good of a school. They should win that game. And it's a rivalry. Come on now. There's no way you don't lose that game. Please. Come on. Messing up my parlays and stuff. Archmere Academy, another team. I think that's going to be a loss. In Wilmington Friends. That's going to be a pretty solid game for Friends. It's going to be their senior night. So we'll see. And then Mount Pleasant. They're probably similar to Tatnall at this point. You know, with the team that Tatnall has now, yeah, they're pretty similar. I'll be surprised if Tatnall gets blown out in this game. That game should be close. It could go either way. I say Tadno goes 2-8 for the most part. I think that's the one thing I'll say. Playoffs, is that anything to them? No. Unless they win 5 games straight, which they will have to take down Archmere and Tower Hill, who's been really good and really tough to beat this year. That's gonna be tough. And yeah, that's really it though. And then Wilmington Friends, they're kind of even, but Friends, yeah, their run heavy offense is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But that's really it. And at last but not least, we're going to talk about the Elysianum Sows versus the Smyrna High School Eagles. I really wanted to go to this game. This game was taking place at the University of Delaware. Sally's won 37-26. It was a pretty close game up to the end. Sally's won this game by 11. Brady Nab was the player of the game in this game as he had went 10 for 17, threw for 172 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and all in all, the rest of this team played pretty solid as everybody got the ball. Jamar Taylor had a touchdown himself. Ellis on the receiving side had a touchdown, and Jasir Guyman, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. It was just a really good game. They also got a block punt. They had a block punt which was returned 9 yards for a touchdown from Thomas to start the game off. It was just a really good game though from the Salesians themselves as they executed really well on offense. Defensively, giving up 26 to Smyrna. I wouldn't say that's not the worst thing in the world, as if you're scoring 37, almost 40, and you're giving up 26 to Smyrna. It's not bad, but Smyrna does have some really good athletes. You know, Kamaj Carney, he had a 5 yard reception for a touchdown. And then Phoenix Hernandez, the 3 star receiver who's going to Syracuse, he had 3 receiving touchdowns in this game. And Drew Marks threw 3 touchdown passes in this game. And all in all, Smyrna's defense wasn't all that well. And for the next 3 games for the Salesianum Sows, they'll be playing Hodson, which should be a win. They play 2 pretty tough games, Apple and Middletown. And then after that, they play Caravel and William Penn. Realistically speaking, I say they don't lose another game. That's what I think. But I do feel like they are going to probably drop a game against in-state Middletown High School or something like that. I'd be surprised if they lose to an Apple or Caravel, as Sally's has built up a really good team, recruited some really good players, and has did so much to get back to an over 500 record, as they're currently standing at 3-2 after that win against Smyrna. They're now on a 2-game win streak, and I don't see them stopping anytime soon. Still have them as my favorites to win 3A. But that's really it, though. And for Sally's and for Smyrna, they are 1-4 now. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. They do. I told y'all before though, they was going to have a really tough schedule. They after Cardinal O'Hara, they was going to play Middletown, Sally's, and Cape. They're getting to the easy part of their schedule. I don't see them losing another game after this Sally's game. I just see them completely running the table. They play Cape and Lopin. We already know that. Then they play Caesar Ronnie at Caesar Ronnie's homecoming. Then they play their homecoming game against St. George's. And then they're going to host Dover right after as their last home game and then play Sussex Central. They should be 6-4. They should be in the state playoffs and should be a top 5 team in the state. I'm not mad that they're 1-4 right now. But if they lose another game, I will really, really be surprised because this team is really good. But anyways, if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for enjoying this video. Hopefully you liked it. I know it's really dark in here. It's almost like what? What time is it? Yeah, it's 6:42. It's getting dark. My room's dark. I know. And with that being said, thank you guys for enjoying. I think I already said that before. But don't forget to subscribe. Tell your people about this channel. And that is it for episode 26. Peace.